Yeah. So if you don't mind, one quick question.
So,
3802, since you're training, when do you have authority to identify somebody?
for what?
When do you have the authority to get somebody's identification?
For just anything?
Well, not for just anything. I mean, this is America. You can't just get their ID
Right.
for just anything.
Right. Well, it depends on the call for service, whether it's a traffic stop or a probable cause to stop the vehicle, depending on what it is, reasonable suspicion to stop out with somebody based on the circumstances. We have the right to identify people for that as well. Just depends
Well,
on
what does the
circumstances.
code say?
What does the code say?
3802.
It varies from
The code varies?
it varies on call to call, yes.
But what does the code say? There's a code. When does somebody fail to ID?
Well, it just depends on the call.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
There's a code. It's called
I know
3802.
it's spelled out.
And it says a person is obligated to identify themselves with their name, birth date, and address if they are asked after being lawfully arrested.
Not lawfully arrested.
Lawfully arrested.
It's also lawfully detained.
No.
Yes, on a
No,
traffic stop,
sir.
If you don't identify yourself,
No, a traffic stop, you are under arrest. I'm really unhappy because the code that all four of you use on an everyday basis is 3802. And that code tells you when you can identify somebody, when you can order them to give you their identification, right? And they didn't know it. Okay, and the training officer, who is not an FTO, but was the senior officer, according to him, and is why he's training this guy,
Okay.
says that it depends on the situation as to when you can get an ID, when in fact 3802 makes it very specific.
Okay.
When you are lawfully arrested and asked, you must provide your name, birth date, and address
Okay.
when you're lawfully arrested. Right, and then he said, no, it's when you're detained. Well, this is a huge problem. I hope you all can understand why that would be a huge problem. Because this is the code that you're using every day on multiple times. Every time you stop somebody, you're asking them for their ID. Right, like her, I'm sure you got her ID. But she's technically under arrest because that was, you stopped her while she was driving. She's technically under administrative arrest. So that's why you can ask her for her ID. She's been arrested. You know, maybe you cite her or release her, or you don't even cite her at all, right? But you can't identify somebody unless they've been lawfully arrested, not detained.
Do you have any emergency or anything that you need assistance with right now? Because otherwise,
I consider that an emergency because if those two guys are running around demanding ID when people are simply detained, that's an emergency.
Or anything that I need assistance right now?
Are you detaining me?
yes,
For what crime?
because they're claiming that you were inside.
But I'm not inside right now. So what crime are you detaining me
Because
for?
they're going to issue a criminal trespass warning.
That's not a crime.
Hey, sir.
Yeah. Are you detaining me? Are you detaining me? For what crime? For what crime?
Trespassing. Sit in front of the car.
I'm not in there. The sergeant, because he won't tell me. Who's the sergeant on duty right now?
Roby and Raglan.
In Raglan? What's your name?
I'll talk to you in a minute. I'm trying to get my coffee, okay?
You have an attitude, huh?
Yeah, you stand right over there and I'll talk to you in a minute, okay?
You don't tell me what to do.
I think I can.
Do you think I work for you?
You don't work for me.
You're a public servant, aren't you? What's your name?
Thank you. You too.
So what's your name? And your badge number? Who's your lieutenant? I'm gonna find out these answers. These are public information and it's your policy to give them. What is your name? What is your name?
I have to go somewhere. Do you have a
I don't
crime to
like your
report?
freaking attitude,
Yeah, I
Raglan.
don't like you bothering me.
What is your badge number?
You have a
What
nice
is your
day.
badge number?
You have a nice day.
So Sergeant Roby, yeah, this is a much better place to talk than where we met before.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Side of the road.
Yeah, that was a bad place, you know.
Yeah.
Why did you have that girl stopped?
I don't really want to go into all that stuff.
Is that still an open investigation?
No, I just don't really want to go into all that stuff.
Well, because there was 4 of you surrounding a girl right there, that really looked bad.
Okay.
That's what you did the last time too. You just said okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really seem to show much interest in what the people have to say.
No. Do you have an emergency?
No, that's what you said the last time too. Who's your
Well, the same thing
lieutenant?
tonight.
Who's your lieutenant?
Aaron White. Told you that last
Aaron
time.
White, right,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
This new night
Have a
crew,
safe
man.
night. Thanks.
Yeah, get out of here. Roby?
Yeah, do you want to
Oh,
talk to
yeah,
him or
he's
not?
a bum. He always drives away. He never listens. He doesn't care what the people think. He's not interested in 3802 when you can identify somebody that I've been through with you.
Yeah.
He's not interested about,
Did you want
you
to
know,
read that? Because whenever you told me I was wrong that night, I wasn't wrong. So I can let you
you were
read-
wrong.
I can let you read
You have to be
3802.
arrested in order to be lawfully arrested.
Wrong.
Let's pull it out right now.
I will.
You're not the first cop I've been over this with.
Okay. It's also reasonably detained, buddy.
No, it says you can't lie if you've been detained.
You have to identify yourself too.
No, you don't.
David.
3802. You're not the first officer that has pulled out the code and found out that they didn't know. Well, you're not looking at the actual code book.
This is the actual code book. There's one of the following: lawfully arrested a person or lawfully detained a person.
Okay, you're not looking at the code. You need
right.
to pull out 3802.
That's right. That's what it is.
Okay, go to
3803 is right here,
the
3802.
go to the beginning of it.
Have a good night, David.
Go to the beginning of it, because that's a cheat sheet. That's a cheat sheet. Let's look at these words very carefully. Okay, a person commits
An
an
offense,
offense
if he intentionally refuses to give his name, residence, address, date of birth to a peace officer who has lawfully
who
arrested the
has
person.
lawfully arrested. Okay,
and
so you
requested the
have to give a
information.
name, birth date, and address if you've been lawfully arrested.
Yes.
Okay, and then part B, a person commits an offense if he intentionally gives a false or fictitious name. So if you lie and, you know, I'm like, I'm Rick James, bitch, right?
What were you saying?
So even if that was me that you were looking for, what crime would you have charged me with?
We were investigating.
But what crime would you have charged me
We
with?
were investigating whether a crime had been committed, Dave.
So you didn't know if a crime had been committed when you detained me?
Dave, that's what an investigation is.
You can't detain someone without reasonable articulable suspicion that a crime has been committed.
And I told you we had reasonable suspicion.
You said didn't even know if a crime had been committed.
Yeah. That's why you do an investigation, Dave.
Yes,
Have
but
a
you
good
don't
night.
detain someone first.
Yeah. You need to look that up.
You need to look up a number of things. One is when you can detain someone.
Have a good night.
I always have a good night. Lieutenant White, right?
Mhm.
I haven't had the displeasure of meeting him. Lieutenant White! It's about time I get to meet you. How are you doing?
Are you serious?
I have never had the pleasure.
You haven't?
I haven't.
Nope.
One of your deputies detained me for no crime the other night.
Did they? That's too bad.
That's too bad. Press on.
Master by the name of Bates, smoking more than all 50 states combined. Yeah, right, I gotta stay on the grind. I got no money, so my weed's on my mind. I hit club, but you know I can't dance. 7 and 7 in my cutoff chance. How that shirt and my long ass hair. What part of how I look makes you think I care?